up.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, I must think
All right, everybody ready? Ready
Yes.
right, ready left? Amanda, you ready over there? All right.
We should use this time to put shouts out. Hi, Steve.
Okay. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the regularly scheduled City Council meeting for October 17, 2023. My name is Mark Clark. I'm the mayor. I'll call the meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Clark?
Here.
Councilmember Spear?
Here.
Councilmember Johnson?
Present.
Councilmember Green? Councilmember Morrison?
Here.
All right, next item on our agenda, we have a proclamation to read for Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and I'll go ahead and start by reading that proclamation. Whereas domestic violence is a serious crime that happens in all communities at all income and education levels, with victims and perpetrators representing all races, creeds, genders, orientations, and religions. And whereas domestic violence can take many forms of abuse, including physical, emotional, psychological, sexual, economic, digital, reproductive, and stalking, even one count of domestic violence is too many, and it can occur between family members, intimate partners, and within dating relationships. And whereas more than 1 in every 3 Colorado women have been victims of domestic violence in 2023, and history has demonstrated that children in homes where domestic violence occurs are far more likely to be victims of domestic violence themselves. And whereas victims should have help to find compassion, comfort, and healing they need, and domestic abusers should be punished to the full extent of the law. Victims should also have access to medical and legal services, counseling, transitional housing, and other supportive services so they can escape the cycle of abuse. And whereas we honor the tremendous dedication of advocates and service providers, honor the courage and resilience of survivors, and recommit ourselves to standing with them for safety, dignity, and justice. Whereas domestic violence incidents are some of the most complex and dangerous incidents that law enforcement respond to in our community, putting their lives at risk every day to provide protection and support for victims and help bring justice to perpetrators. Whereas we call upon everyone to join us in supporting victims, as well as local programs, state coalitions, and national organizations who are committed to increasing public awareness of domestic violence and sending a clear message to abusers that domestic violence is not tolerated in our community. Now, therefore, I, Mark Clark, Mayor of the City of Evans, do hereby proclaim that the month of October 23 is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the official seal of the City of Evans, Colorado, the 17th day of October 2023. And I believe we have Danny in the audience from the Women's Place to accept this proclamation. So please come on up and join us.
I am Danny, and I'm with the Women's Place. We're the only domestic violence shelter here in Weld County. It's important to know, since we're one of the largest counties, the 3rd largest in Colorado, it is our 45th anniversary this year as well. So we appreciate all the continued support we receive from Weld County. Thank you guys so much for this.
Great, thank you for being here. Appreciate it. All right, next item on the agenda, audience participation. Is there anybody in the audience that wishes to address City Council on any item that is not on the agenda or of a public hearing? If so, please step forward to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Seeing none. Anybody online?
No.
All right. Next item, approval of the agenda. Madam Clerk, is there any changes to the agenda?
Mayor, there are two changes. One to remove agenda item number 13, and Evans Redevelopment Agency meeting will be held prior to the executive session.
Great, thank you. If there's no other changes to the agenda, I'd entertain a motion.
I move to approve the amended agenda.
I second.
I have a motion, a second, to approve the amended agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next item, consent agenda. Item number 1, approval of the October 3rd, 2023 City Council meeting minutes. Item number 2, approval of the October 4th City Council special meeting minutes. Item number 3, consideration of reappointment of Jeff Ollier to the Water and Sewer Board. Item number 4, consideration of a reappointment of Glenn Snyder to the Water and Sewer Board.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion, a second, to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. All right, next item, old business. Item number 5, public hearing. Consideration of ordinance number 804-23, amending chapter 5.2 of Title 5, temporary vendors, amending chapter 1809 and Title 18, replacing chapters 1801 through 1808, 1810, and 1811 of Title 18 Land Development Code, second reading. I will open up the public hearing and ask if there's anybody in the audience that wishes to come up and speak for or against this item. If so, please come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve ordinance number 804-23, amending chapter 5.12 of Title 5, temporary vendors, amending chapter 18.09 of Title 18.
Hold on.
Before the vote takes place, the amendments should be read into the record, and our community development director can do that, and then a vote.
That'd be
Okay,
great.
Sounds good. Sorry.
All right, so on October 3rd, 2023, City Council was presented with a recommendation from Planning Commission to amend the Land Development Code and other affected code sections. City Council reviewed the recommendations and modified the draft language accordingly as follows. Mobile food vendor language added only with an approved liquor license to section 18.02.060.b.1. In section 1804.50a, the language "and in accordance with chapter 16.42 regulations for dedication of land and or payment of fees for public park land in subdivisions" was added. Section 18.520c was removed entirely. Table 18.6.1, the lot standards, maximum lot standards, were removed for the I-1 zone district. In section 18.790d2, the statement "on-street parking may be counted for guest parking but not for required parking for the dwelling" was removed. In section 18.790e, the word "non-residential" was added. And then, in addition to those changes made last time, staff requests a change to the ordinance that, rather than having the effective date of the code change be effective upon final passage, staff requests a January 1st, 2023 effective date that would allow staff to prepare all the necessary guidance documents and changes to fee schedules and everything else that would go along with this code change, so it could all start in 2024. And the slide is incorrectly saying 2023, but the ordinance says 2024.
Any questions of staff?
Can you go back to the first one? I just wanted to look at it again, if you don't mind. It was a vendor, yeah. Okay, perfect.
Any other additional questions? Any comments?
None.
I guess we would do the motion with the approved with new amendments. So I'd entertain a motion if there's no other questions or comments.
So are we doing
With the new
new
amendments.
with the new amendments?
Yeah.
Okay. I move to approve ordinance number 804-23, amending chapter 5.12 of Title 5, temporary vendors, amending chapter 18.09 of Title 18, and replacing chapters 18.01 to 18.08, 18.10, and 18.11 of Title 18 Land Development Code as here amended on the second reading.
I second.
I have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 804-23, amending chapter 5.2 of Title 5 temporary vendors, amending chapters 1809 of Title 18 and replacing chapters 1801 through 1808, 1810, and 1811 of Title 18 Land Development Code as here amended on second reading. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to item number 6 under new business, City Council Ward 2 vacancy appointments. And we will have a motion, and if it's accepted, then Judge Stewart will come administer the oath.
Okay.
I move to appoint Jeff Captree to fill the Ward 2 vacancy.
Second.
I have a motion, a second, to appoint Jeff Crabtree to fill the Ward 2 vacancy. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Mr. Crabtree, please stand up. Come join us up here in front. Judge Stewart will read the oath of office, and then you can come take your seat right here next to Councilmember Johnson.
I state your name. I, Jeff Crabtree. Do solemnly swear. Do solemnly swear. That I will support the Constitution of the United States. I will support the Constitution of the United States. The Constitution of the State of Colorado. The Constitution of the State of Colorado. The Home Rule Charter. Home Rule Charter. And the ordinances of the City of Evans, Colorado. And the ordinances of the City of Evans, Colorado. I will faithfully perform the duties of the office of Council Member Ward 2. I will fulfill faithfully perform the duties of the office. Faithfully perform the duties of the office for Ward 2. Upon which I'm about to enter to the best of my ability. Upon which I'm about to enter to the best of my ability. Let me first congratulate you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to the podium.
Thank you.
Your iPad?
It's down.
Okay. All right. Next item on the agenda, item number 7, declaration of city council vacancy. And we will entertain a motion on that, or does staff have a presentation for that? No. All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to declare Councilmember Castle's seat as City Council Member for Ward 3 vacant and authorize staff to work with Minutemen Press Brighton to print and mail postcards announcing the vacancy to all registered electors in Ward 3.
Second.
I have a motion, a second, to declare Councilmember Castle's seat as City Council Member for Ward 3 vacant and authorize staff to work with Minutemen Press Brighton to print and mail postcards announcing the vacancy to all registered electors in Ward 3. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda, election of Mayor Pro Tem, and I will make a motion to nominate Councilmember Laura Spear for Mayor Pro Tem.
I second.
I have a motion and a second to nominate Councilmember Laura Spear as Mayor Pro Tem. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Congratulations, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, item number 9, public hearing, consideration of 2024 operating and capital budget resolution number 23-2023, adopting the 2024 budget, and ordinance number 803-23, 2024 budget appropriations, first reading. I will open up the public hearing and we'll hear from staff.
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is the first of 2 approvals for the 2024 operating and capital budget. And before Jackie gets into the presentation, I just want to take a moment to thank finance staff, Jackie and her team, for all the hard work that you guys did over the last several months, coming in with a new manager, new ideas and philosophies for budgeting, and then also the involvement of the city council. I certainly appreciate everybody's time and effort that was put into this into next year's budget, but especially finance staff, thank you for your hard work. I appreciate it. With that, Mr. Mayor, I'll turn it over to Jackie for presentation.
Great, thank you, Jackie.
Good evening, Mayor Clark, members of City Council. This is really exciting for us to be able to fill your packet with over 150 pages of stuff, lots of good budget reading material. I'm sure we've all read it all by now. But really all this is culmination of your direction, the work sessions, the additional meetings, conversations, and prioritization that we've done for next year's budget. And really what we're asking tonight is consideration of the resolution and the ordinance to both summarize the revenues and expenditures by fund and ultimately appropriate those expenditures for next year's budget. But we can't do that and can't do it in good fashion without providing a framework for staff. And so the budget book that's in your packet is a document we hold very high regards for. We prepare that with government industry best practices in mind. So we've received 5 years now the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award for that. We anticipate submitting for year 6 with this document here. And really what we're trying to do is make this something readable, something usable. We hope that departments flip through from time to time. We hope that the public goes through and looks at some of our capital projects, reads about them, reads about some of the funding sources that make them possible. There's a 2-page chart on there that's my personal favorite that shows you really where that money's coming from to accomplish these capital projects. There's really great information. We try each year to expand what that can do, how it can be most helpful for us to put into work the direction that you've set us on. So that's in there, as well as a line item budget. So we also each year provide this document as a roadmap for where each and every dollar is loaded into our general ledger. So anybody can go at any point and see what our fuel budget is, what finance is spending in professional services. It's all there, it's loaded, it's ready to go for next year. So if you haven't had a chance to read those in detail, please do. Once you've formally approved the budget, we'll also make them available for the public and put them on the website. But just wanted to walk through a few summary level pieces of information to remind you what's included in the resolution and ordinance that we're looking at tonight. So our 4 major budget goals for next year that we were able to accomplish in next year's budget centered around employee retention, economic development, community beautification, and capital replacement. So anytime we were trying to allocate those precious resources, looking at these 4 guiding pillars helped us to accomplish these major initiatives that you've set forth for next year. Our general fund revenue is projected to be about $20.2 million for next year. It's a slight increase over the 2023 projected revenues for the general fund. And we know we've received a lot of industry, more volatile revenue sources this year: oil and gas, mineral lease income, severance taxes, industrial industry related sales taxes as well that we don't budget and require to pay our bills for next year. So we think the revenues will be very, very close to what we project for this year. Additionally, what we were able to accomplish in the general fund specifically was almost $21.7 million on the expenditure side of the budget. $13.3 million of that is going to securing the workforce, that personnel component. A little more than $6 million in supplies and services. I think we were able to capture the majority of departments' highest priority needs. Although, as you remember, when we asked departments, what do you need to operate at your best? It was over $6 million of list. So we continue to work in future planning to see how we might be able to accomplish those in future years as well. $1.4 million of capital replacements is included in next year's budget, as well as $800,000 of transfers out for road maintenance and continued fire protection services. Our long-range plan for the general fund specifically, in 2024, you'll see our net result, about $1.4 million of fund balance we're using for that capital project initiative, leading our ending fund balance at about $12.2 million. We do still then have almost $4.2 million of available funds above our minimum required reserve level. Council has directed that to be 40% of the general fund's prior year operating expenditures for next year's budget. As a reminder what that looks like and what additionally you have in the general fund reserves, if you look to the very bottom, about $850,000 in excess of your required reserve at that 40% level, in excess of the additional $3.3 million set aside for future police station construction needs. enterprise funds summary on one slide here. What you'll notice is that each of the water, wastewater, and storm drainage enterprise funds and 2023 projected compared to next year's budget, water and wastewater are projecting an increase in that fund balance, which is their cash balance for next year, while storm drainage is projecting a decrease. So we know there's a huge push for additional storm drainage work on the east side particularly, and so the remaining component of the east side storm drainage project will be funded for the 2024 year. We have $42 million of capital projects next year planned. $20 million of that is the police station, which means over $20 million is still additional things. Lots of good road work and parks improvements, as well as the general fund equipment that council gave direction for us to pursue next year. So a lot of really great work. And then in total, we have our ending fund balance for all city funds in next year's budget, almost $44 million. And what's pretty neat in here is looking at operating expense budget, kind of that middle line, almost $7 million of operating expense citywide, and then again, $42 million of capital. So putting a lot of good resources to work next year, allocating those dollars to go somewheres. And that net result citywide, we will be utilizing fund balance of about $1.1 million for those capital projects. We know we have a number of capital funds whose role is to accumulate those dollars until we're able to accomplish capital projects with that. So not unusual to see a negative net result for next year, knowing that these are our planned prioritized capital projects. And otherwise your general fund is balanced on an operating fund basis for next year as is required. That ends staff presentation for the budget. I do just want to again thank City Council for your guidance and direction as we underwent a new process this year. It was exciting to have additional direction and that excitement for all of us staff as well as we craft this budget for next year. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Great, thank you, Jackie. Any questions for staff?
I don't think that I have any more questions. I think that we've had, I think, one of the first years where us as city council has been, I'm sorry. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I forgot we were in a public hearing. I'm a little discombobulated sitting on this side this evening. So I'll take it easy on you guys. I don't have any questions. Thank you.
I don't have any questions.
Questions? No. All right. Because it's a public hearing, I would ask if there's anybody in the audience that wishes to speak for or against this item. Please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and any council discussion and or comments.
No, I
Now
can talk. Anyway, so I think that being involved with this over the years, the presentation and our ability on council to go through with a fine-tooth comb and make some changes and get our input has really been a fabulous experience this year. And I want to thank staff for making those changes. And I'm looking forward to what the staffing can do with our new budget. Thank you for your hard work.
So Jackie, yes, thank you to you and your staff. Cody, thank you for your leadership as well on this. And Jackie, in your leadership, I want to say thank you to all the staff that was involved in this budget process and making your voices heard and telling us what your needs were and what your wants were. So really appreciate that. I think this is the first time since I've been on council that I've actually felt a great camaraderie of teamwork between council and staff on this budget process, where we actually got to hear from you, you got to hear from us, and I think we put a great budget together for that next year, and I hope we continue this process from, going forward in further years. So thank you so much. I really appreciate everybody's hard work on this. It really means a lot to us.
I agree with everything that was said, but in addition to that, the collaborative effort on both ends was great. It was nice also, I'll speak for myself, but as a council member, to be able to have input at that capacity that hasn't been, in essence, afforded before, not because we couldn't, it's just, I think the insight, the transparency, the wanting to work together more than we have in the past, and really seeing it from a different perspective, I think helped both of us, council and staff, to work more effectively and really take forward, the city in the trajectory that we want to now. And in part, all of this, really stems from leadership. Thank you, Cody. Also all of you to have that ability to now bring forth what your vision was too, and have the ability to voice what that looks like for you and feel heard and feel safe to say. So kudos, thank you, and I'm excited for what's to come.
I know it may have added another component for you all getting those suggestions from the staff, but I think it was a long time coming. And thank you to you, the staff, Cody, because I know that does take extra work. You may say, oh no, no, I know it takes a lot of extra work, and I appreciate your, organization with all of that information. So thank you, and thank you to your staff especially. So.
I know you're new. Any comments?
I'm impressed so far.
All right, if there's no other comments, I would entertain a motion.
I move. Oh. Go ahead, Mayor Protem.
I move to adopt resolution number 23-2023 and approve ordinance number 803-23 on first reading.
Second.
I have a motion, a second, to adopt resolution number 23-2023 and approve ordinance number 803-23 on first reading. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. All right. Thank you, Jackie. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Next item on the agenda, item number 10, consideration of ordinance number 806-23, vacating a portion of the West Service Road right-of-way. First reading. We'll hear from staff.
Great. Good evening, Mayor and Council members. Michael Hall, City Planner, Community Development Department. For your consideration is an ordinance vacating a portion of the West Service Road right-of-way. The second reading, just so you know, is scheduled for November 7th. The property owner of the site is PWD Evans LLC and represented by Galloway. The site is located south of and adjacent to 37th Street and east of and adjacent to St. Vrain Street and west of US Highway 85. As stated, Evans Community Development received a request to vacate a portion of the West Service Road right-of-way as submitted by the adjacent property owner to the west of the subject right-of-way, being again PWD Evans LLC. This property owner is currently pursuing a replat and special use permit in association with Murphy Oil USA for a fueling station. As part of the pending gas station project, the applicant seeks to replat 3 existing lots owned by PWD Evans, located at the southwest corner of US Highway 85 and 37th Street. The replat component was administratively approved by staff via case number 23-AP-04 with the condition to receive approval by City Council ordinance for the right-of-way vacation component. Specifically, the adjacent portion of the West Service Road is proposed to be vacated and incorporated into the property as part of the fueling station project. Within this vacated right-of-way, the city will require that a variable width drainage access and utility easement be dedicated on the replat. The area of the right-of-way to be vacated is approximately 19,570 square feet or 0.45 acres. It is bounded to the west by the PWD Evans property and to the east by Highway 85. This portion of right-of-way currently includes a paved roadway and cul-de-sac, which terminates south of the previous connection to 37th Street, which has since been removed. No other property owners are affected by this vacation, and there does not appear to be any practical reason to retain this portion of right-of-way for public use. Furthermore, the vacation will more readily support the redevelopment of this key intersection within the city, which may not otherwise be successfully developed, as this current right-of-way extent really does severely diminish the usability and size of the subject property. All other businesses located south of the subject site will continue to access onto the portion of the West Service Road that will not be vacated. And as a result of this vacation and redesign of the West Service Road, the roadway will now terminate into the southern access point of the fueling station. Regarding a financial summary, there are no direct financial impacts to the city as a result of this right-of-way vacation. The vacation will allow the property to develop as proposed under the pending replat and special use permit, which will be heard at a later date by council. Staff has reviewed applicable state and municipal code sections and found that the applicant's request meets the requirements, procedures, and criteria for approval. Specifically, section 18.07.120.d of the Evans Municipal Code requires that any replat, which includes a request to vacate right-of-way, be presented to City Council via ordinance to consider the right-of-way vacation component. So again, the replat is administrative and processed by staff, but we're bringing the right-of-way vacation component to council today. Furthermore, section 43.2.302 and 43-2-303 of the Colorado Revised Statutes authorize the City Council to vacate by ordinance rights-of-way within the city when, 1, such right-of-way is not currently needed for municipal purposes, and it is not anticipated that such right-of-way will be needed by the city for the foreseeable future, and 2, that the vacation of such right-of-way will not leave any land adjoining the right-of-way without access to an established public road or private access easement connecting such land with an established public road. And staff is recommending City Council approve this ordinance number 806-23, and should the right-of-way vacation be approved, the concurrent replat may be finalized and recorded. And at this time, I've concluded my remarks, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments of staff?
Yes, I do. This diagram here didn't have the existing structures on it, so I'm a little bit needing some clarification. Are we vacating the road that's there too?
Correct. So within the right-of-way, within that section of right-of-way, there's an existing portion of the West Service Road, the actual built roadway, which terminates in that cul-de-sac. All of that will be demolished, including those 3 structures as part of the special use permit, which is separate from this. But really, the replat today just seeks to remove the right-of-way. There still could be, it won't exist in the current configuration, but there could still be pavement in that location for the public to use, but it'll now be integrated into the site versus a city roadway.
Okay, I just a little disturbed. I mean, I'm glad that we're seeing somebody that wants to develop it, that we have to be in this situation to vacate it, but I was also here when we spent the money to build that nice little
cul-de-sac. Okay.
And so I just hate to see us wasting money. I know it's already spent, but I do hate to see us wasting money. But again, just wanted the clarification on how much into the street, and apparently it's all of the street. So
it roughly will terminate where the existing liquor store, the southern boundary, if you would cut that across, that roughly follows the southern lot line, and that's where the right-of-way would be vacated. Anything north of that, and then everything south of that for all the other businesses would remain.
So including the liquor station?
The liquor store would be vacated or demolished, as well as the 2 other buildings on that property for this larger redevelopment.
On the corner, but let's just say from Guerrero South.
That all remains, and that right-of-way remains as well,
Okay.
with the roadway within it.
Access, okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
None.
All right. If there's no other additional questions or comments, I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve ordinance number 806-23 as proposed.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 806-23 as proposed. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, moving on. Item number 11, public hearing. Continuance of consideration of resolution number 24-2023, conditionally approving a special use permit for extensive retail automotive fueling station for certain property located south of and adjacent to 37th Street and east of and adjacent to St. Vrain Street, also referred to as the Murphy USA Fueling Station. First reading, I will open up the public hearing and we will hear from staff.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. Michael Hall, City Planning. For your consideration is the resolution approving with conditions of a special use permit for extensive retail, specifically an automotive fueling station for Murphy USA. The property owner is PWD Evans LLC, again represented by Galloway. This is the actual special use permit that I previously referenced for the replat. However, staff does request a continuance of this item, being resolution number 24-2023, in order to finalize some technical items. There's a lot of infrastructure that needs to be designed in this key property. So we're looking to continue it for a site improvements agreement that we're still working through the costs of public improvements, and for a reimbursement agreement. There's a concurrent water line kind of redevelopment that is occurring that crosses that property. So we're still working on those two items. And staff does recommend this item be continued to the November 7th, 2023 City Council hearing. Hopefully at that time we've resolved or made headway on those agreements, but there's always subject to an additional continuance request.
Thank you. Any questions of staff? I just have one. Do you think November 7th is plenty of time to get through that, or do you think we need to move it to a later date?
That's the goal, what we're shooting for right now. That really is the conditions of approval. Otherwise, for the special use permit, they're wrapping up. It's really those agreements. More recently, within the last week or so, we identified the need to split the site improvements agreement into two portions to really capture the public improvements in one arm via separate agreement, and then the reimbursement agreement in a completely different, to kind of separate those out.
Great, thank you. Any other additional questions?
Mr. Mayor, I don't know when it's appropriate. Maybe we can have some feedback on asking some questions about the site plan.
Do we know where yeah, go ahead, actually, ask the question. What do you?
Staff can answer questions about the site plan, or we can await the continued hearing.
Well, I mean, if I ask them now, they might be better prepared the next time. It looks like on the site plan, and then it's okay. Looks like on your site plan then, this will be a exit on the north side, left and right?
So on the north side of the site, as it accesses onto 37th Street, that is going to be a right in, right out only. Okay. So it will not be a full movement intersection. That was what was originally requested by the applicant. However, after we've actually done 4 rounds of review on this application, there's been a lot of moving parts. Just there's not enough queue spacing for that intersection. So it's limited to a right in, right out, and then there will be an access, as I mentioned, on the West Service Road from the south, and then a full movement access on the St. Vrain Street, where then they can hit the light before they turn on the 37th.
Okay, yeah, I just saw that and I wasn't able to see that it was right in, right out. I just want to make sure that, I mean, everybody knows that that's a kind of a hazardous intersection. Also on this, so they will exit on the southeast. They don't have an exit directly onto Highway 85.
Correct. Okay. There's no connectivity to 85, just the West Service Road as far as the southern access point.
Okay, thank you for answering my safety questions.
Thank you.
Any other additional questions? All right, because it's a public hearing, anybody in the audience that's here to speak for or against this item, please come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and any council discussion, or I would entertain a motion.
I move to continue the consideration of resolution number 24-2023 to the November 7th, 2023 City Council hearing.
Second.
A motion, a second to move to continue the consideration of resolution number 24-2023 to the November 7th, 2023 City Council hearing. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you. All right. Next item, item number 12, public hearing, consideration of ordinance number 807-23, rezoning the Highway 85 Retail and Commercial Regional Corridor 85 RCR Zone District to the Medium Industrial I2 Zone District, certain property located at 3112 and 3220 State Street. First reading. I will open up the public hearing and hear from staff.
Thank you. Before I begin, can I get that PowerPoint there, clerk? Thank you. All right, good evening, Mayor and Council members. Michael Hall, City Planner. for your consideration is an ordinance rezoning certain property located at 3112 and 3220 State Street from the Highway 85 Retail and Commercial Regional Corridor, or 85 RCR Zone District, to the Medium Industrial, or I2 Zone District. There are 3 joint property owners participating in this application, being 631st Street LLC, Highland Properties 723 LLC, and the Evans Industrial Ownership LLC, collectively referred to as the applicant, all being represented by Rob Malloy and Emily Tarantini. The site is located east of and adjacent to State Street and approximately 350 feet south of 31st Street. For quick reference, this is right by the new Quick Trip and consists of 2 parcels. The approximate collective area of the site is 4.7 acres. As stated, the applicant is requesting a zoning amendment from 85 RCR to I2 in order to increase the potential allowed uses on the subject property. The zoning amendment and allowed uses under the I2 zone district are consistent and compatible with the existing surrounding land uses. Prior to any future redevelopment of the properties, new site plans or special use permits would be required, again, which are independent of this zoning amendment, depending on the proposed land uses in the future. And there are no other land use applications being currently processed which would affect these properties. The existing use of the properties currently is industrial, specifically office, outdoor storage, construction, and repair uses. Surrounding land uses include oil and gas support and service companies, budget lodging establishments, self-storage facilities, fuel and convenience stores, railroad lines, refuse company operations, repair and contractor shops, bars, agricultural businesses, and historic residential housing stock. This map shows the existing zoning in the vicinity. The subject site is highlighted in blue, and again, it's a bit hard to see, but there are 2 parcels with that line running in between the 2. Again, 4.7 acres. The majority of the surrounding lots are shown in gray, being the 85 RCR. And then also in gray, it's a little harder to see. Right here is land already zoned I2. And then all the gray on the other side of the railroad track is also I2. This map shows the subject site with the 2 outlined parcels, and State Street is visible to the west of the site. For reference, America's Best Value Motel and Bunting Disposal are directly west of the site, with the motel in Bunting. This is the draft zoning plat as submitted in the application materials, and red line comments have already been provided to the applicant for revision. For reference, the applicant did follow the submittal and application procedures of the Evans Municipal Code. Staff and referral agencies were given an opportunity to respond to this request. Surrounding property owners were sent a courtesy notice via regular mail on August 1st, 2023, and no written responses were received regarding this request. In accordance with section 18.10.010, staff posted a sign on the property on September 13th, 2023, and notice of public hearing was published in the Greeley Tribune on September 15th, 2023. We'll briefly show a few slides of the property with images, all taken from State Street. This is a view looking directly east from State Street, featuring the location of the sign posting for reference, and this is located roughly in the middle of the site where the lot line would be located. For reference, the fenced area is on the northern lot, and the lot with the metal skin building is on the southern lot. From the previous location moving south, this is looking then directly into the southern lot. You can see there's an existing metal building and storage yard. Moving north, this is looking into, again, from the east off State Street into the northern lot, which is primarily used for miscellaneous outdoor storage. There are a few small buildings located on this site. And then there's also a non-conforming house located on this lot just to the left of the photo's extent, and that would remain non-conforming whether it remains 85 RCR or does go to I2. There are no direct financial impacts to the city as a result of this zoning amendment. The amendment will allow the property owners to broaden the type of businesses that may be located on the lots. The opportunity for more business types will increase the value of the property, including the attraction of higher quality businesses, which may result in increased tax revenue for the city. For reference, again, this is 85 RCR as part of the broader land use code updates that we're working through. You'll see in a future council meeting the legislative zoning, which supports that. As part of the land use code, as you know, all the 85 zone districts are going away. So if no action was taken today or this change of zone was not approved to I-2, this property would be legislatively rezoned to C4. That option was presented to the applicant. They still decided to pursue the change of zone to I-2 today. There aren't too many differences between C4 and I-2. I-2 just allows more flexibility with oil and gas businesses and outdoor storage being those primary two hallmarks that they're looking to pursue. Staff evaluated the proposal according to the review criteria in section 18.06.040.d of the Evans Municipal Code. The application was found to be in compliance with the criteria as detailed in the staff report and ordinance. This slide shows the long format version of the criteria as contained in the code. I can return back to this slide if requested. However, this slide shows the simplified version of each of the criteria. In summary, they are that a need exists for the rezone, that this is the correct site for a rezone, that there was an error in the original zoning or that significant changes in the area warrant a rezone, that there is adequate traffic circulation for the use, that municipal costs are acceptable, that there are minimal environmental impacts, that the rezone is consistent with the master plan, and that there are adequate services available as stated. Based on this review, the Planning Commission at their hearing on September 26, 2023, unanimously voted to recommend approval of this case to City Council with the condition that the draft zoning plat be finalized according to the City Planning Red Line comments prior to recording the zoning plat. For reference, no citizens spoke on this application during the public comment portion of the Planning Commission hearing, and at this time I've concluded my remarks on this case. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Any questions of staff?
I have questions,
Okay.
but is the applicant here? The questions might be
Yes.
answered by the applicant.
If the
they had
applicant is
something
here,
to
if they
say.
have a presentation, if you'd like to come up to the podium, state your name and do your presentation if you like.
If they don't have one, then.
Hi, I'm one of the owners. My name's Kyle Lundy. I don't really have a presentation, just a couple thoughts I wanted to share with you. We've owned the property for about 5 years, and when we first came to buy it, part of the lot was used for drug use, and we've put a considerable amount of money, which I like to use a phrase, a rising tide lifts all boats. And so we did the same with the building next door. We own the building that's just right to the north of it. It's got the I-2 zoning, and they go in conjunction with each other, the piece of property and the land, ideally. So that's part of the reason we're coming here today, is that one of the challenges we found is a lot of oil and gas companies are quality companies, and they're the ones you want to have in Evans because of the higher paying jobs and because of the revenue and the tax base. And so coming here today, we think we're in alignment because the property also sits off the 85 corridor for the view corridor as well. And the jobs, there's about 65 employees currently with the company we just put in the building, which is called Method Flow, and they need some outdoor storage to go with that as well. And so they're looking to expand. They took part of the building. They're not going to take the entire building. And so again, we feel like it's in alignment with the goals of the City of Evans. 65 employees are going and buying things, higher paying manufacturing jobs, oil and gas, which brings a higher level of tenant. Sometimes, not always, but we've seen that they tend to be larger revenue producing companies. And so as we talked to you today, the hope is that we are in alignment. And lastly, the tenant has come to us and said from a functional perspective, it would help our business. And so lastly, when all those things go in line, they're happy, I'm happy, because then it becomes a good investment. And I'm not a corporation. We're just two guys. I live in Loveland. I've got 5 kids and I coach basketball. And so the hope is that this would help my family and then Evans and then the tenant as a whole. Also represented tonight is Jesse Lehner. He owns the property right to the south of us, and his hope is similar for that to happen.
Great, thank you. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
So that did partially answer.
Okay, good questions. Go ahead. Open it up to questions.
So I wanted to be clear and clarify what the current use was and then what the proposed use was. And it seems like it would be an expansion of the Method Flow. That's correct?
Come on. Yeah, come on up.
The property's been used for some type of storage. My understanding is the 85 corridor allowed for, if you have a sales office to do some storage on it.
So it's historically been used at that, but Methaflow is coming in and they would rather not have to do sales out of the little building we have that we upgraded on the site. Does that make sense?
And that is a key point to all of this. In the C4, storage would be an accessory use. In the I2 zone district, it would be a principal use that they could pursue. They would still have to go through a site plan process, which is administrative, to actually design the technical elements of the site, should they be changing it. But that would be the real purpose, is to allow the outdoor storage component.
So my second question is, we have previously approved some zoning changes at other locations where we have required a upgrade to the landscaping code of that new zoning. Are we going to be requiring any kind of landscaping changes in this scenario?
Not by nature of the change of zone. The change of zone just gives the applicant the ability, or the property owner the ability, to do certain uses on the property which are not currently allowed, but not the actual wherewithal to make those changes without going through a separate site plan process. And then any site plan process would have those landscaping triggers in them. So they would have to, install landscaping proportional to the site plan.
And the example that I have is the bunting right across the street from that. When they changed their zoning to be in compliance, that we did require them to have new landscaping and the upgrade to the zoning requirements that were on the zone that they were changing to. So that's why I'm asking if we are going to be consistent with that.
So with the new land use code, in order to trigger the landscaping requirements, they have to modify the site more than 25%. So if they use the site as is, it's still grandfathered in as it is. So they would have to modify buildings, access. Access also triggers it. If you're moving your driveway.
Removing a house.
But not moving anything does not trigger a site plan.
So they weren't removing the house then that's on there?
Generally, we view that as part of the commercial side of things. The residential doesn't usually trigger that kind of a thing, but we'd look at it, if it was triggering that 25% or not. Residential uses are a challenge in that regard because it's part of the non-residential code. We require landscaping for subdivision scale in the residential zone, but not on individual lots.
That's not what I was asking for.
I'm sorry.
I had thought that the existing non-conforming house was going to be removed.
It may be, I'm not sure the intentions of the applicant, but there was no discussion in the application materials for the rezoning about the proposed uses of the property. I think just for the moving forward, we focus on the compatibility and compliance with the criteria of the zoning more so. Some applications, when we process change of zones, to have the benefit of having a concurrent site plan that gives a better idea of the future uses of the property, and this project does not have that, or it's not scoped out at this time.
Any other additional questions?
She answered.
All right. Seeing none, because it's a public hearing, I would ask if there's anybody in the audience that wishes to come up to the podium and speak for or against this item. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Any council discussion or a motion?
My questions were just, I didn't want to have two standards, and allowing one person to not come up to compliance on a new zoning code landscaping while we required another one just across the street too. I do believe that their tenant in the building to the north, I think it's been cleaned up a lot. And I would look forward to, continually improving that site and making it look a lot more desirable to do business with in that part of the city. So that was my question, was to make sure that we move towards keeping the things clean and landscaped and business-like and appealing. So
absolutely.
I agree with that. Any other additional comments?
Nope, I agree with what was said.
Yep, I do as well. All right, if there's no other additional comments, I'd entertain a motion.
I need to get a little faster.
Anybody?
Oh, Avon. Computer's slow.
I move to approve ordinance number 807-23, rezoning certain property located at 3112 and 3220 State Street, owned by 631st Street LLC, Highland Properties 723 LLC, and Evans Industrial Ownership LLC, from the Highway 85 Retail and Commercial Regional Corridor 85-RC-R Zone District to the Medium Industrial I2 Zone District.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 807-23, rezoning certain properties located at 3112 and 3220 State Street, owned by 631st Street LLC, Highland Properties 723 LLC, and Evans Industrial Ownership LLC, from the Highway 85 Retail and Commercial Regional Corridor 85 RCR Zone District to the Medium Industrial I2 Zone District. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you much, council.
All right, next item on the agenda, item number 14.
Always like that first one.
And that would be the consideration of the revised city manager employment agreement, and we'll hear from staff.
Good evening again, Mr. Mayor, members of City Council. Based on a favorable performance evaluation of our city manager, Cody R. Sims, the City Council has just directed staff and the city attorney has prepared a revised employment agreement, extending Mr. Sims' contract for an additional 2 years and increasing his annual salary to $207,000 per year. This revised contract is drafted to take effect on October 23rd of 2023. The beginning of the next pay period. Although some of the provisions in his initial contract no longer apply, those have been deleted, such as the relocation allowance, for example. The remaining substantive provisions of the new contract are the same as those in his initial contract, and this new contract is before council for its consideration, and it's an exciting thing to present. I'll submit.
Thank you. Thank you, Drew. Any questions, comments? Pretty straightforward to me. I think we've already discussed this at his review, so.
Do we want to comment at
Yeah.
all on our
Yeah,
city
that's the- if you
manager?
want to comment, that's why I said
Yes.
questions, comments, Garrett. Go ahead.
I just have to say that I've really appreciated the last year of working with Cody, and I think he has been the most attentive to the city's needs and has aggressively come in and made the improvements to the city that we have been asking for. And I have to say, this is probably, well, it's definitely the first time that I've been able to sit back as a citizen and as a council member and really feel that the city's going in a super direction. And I'm excited to see what the next year brings. And I just want to say thank you, Cody.
Cody, actually, I want to see what the next 2 years bring. I got a 2-year contract. We're really going to expect some more results. Now, you and I talk quite a bit and everything, and I'm just so excited that you've been here for the last almost a year. I mean, every time I walk in the building, I tell you, everybody's smiling, everybody's laughing, everybody's having a good time. It's just, you can feel that the tension in this complete building has completely dissipated, and it's just nice to walk in here and see everybody smiling and happy. I want to thank you for your leadership and everything that you've done. I think you've really put the council's priorities front and center. You've been upfront with us. We don't feel like we're being led. I think staff feels like they're being heard and they're being understood, and they're able to shine and do their job as if they were hired to do. And it's just been great having you here. And all of the cleanups that have been going around through the city, all of the stuff that you had to deal with for the first 6 months, you've had a lot on your plate and you've thrived. And I really appreciate everything you've done. So it's been an honor and a pleasure to have you here.
So for me, when we started the process of, looking for a new city manager, I think we as a council wanted a bold leader, someone with integrity, someone that will let us know where we need, what we need to, let us know where there's need and where there is areas of improvement. Because again, we don't know the staff side. We see what's presented to us, It's not like, we can all join forces outside of, the chambers and talk, because that doesn't happen. The only time we get to be together is here and discuss things, within the city. But the reasons why we hired you are the reasons why the city is moving the direction it's heading, because of those reasons. And we definitely picked the right person, and you've exemplified that this almost year, that you've been here. But not just that, it's just the simple fact that you're so receptive, you listen, you also understand the nuances of the area, which is important, because I think we also need to see it holistically and understand that every single part of the city is integral to us doing better, right? And being a great city, and knowing that every single part has to do well in order for it to be ran appropriately. And I think you understand that, and I think that you have been doing a great job to do that to the best of your capacity. I'm glad that these, several months have not scared you away. If anything, you wanted 2 more years with us. So that's wonderful to know. And it speaks to who you are, and the fact that you came here and you knew what you were up against, and you took the challenge, and you want to continue to improve it. So I appreciate you. Thank you for what you've done. And I'm excited for the next 2 years, and I'm excited to see where we can go as a city.
I want to say thank you as a council member, but also as a citizen, because you all may not think that we see the little things, but there's quite a few of the little things that we do see or notice. And even with those little changes, it makes a big difference. Thank you to you and your family, because you picked up and moved here from a little drive away. And I really appreciate not only your input there, but your family coming with you too. I know for some, it's not easy to do the move, but we really do appreciate it. And you have done what you were hired to do, and actually beyond, because what we all said was, we want a go-getter. Mm-hmm. We want someone with the fire and the drive and the push to get the city where it needs to be. And you came, there was a lot of other stuff that you had to deal with in the first 6 months, but it feels like it's settling, but we're still pushing forward to do better. And I really appreciate that drive, and I really appreciate all your hard work, and thank you to you and your family.
Thank you. I certainly appreciate everything, all the positive comments. I'm extremely humbled. Thoroughly love working for you guys. The team here is amazing. I thought when I worked in engineering, it was the coolest thing, right? It couldn't get any better. Now it's gotten a lot better. I'm blessed. I'm blessed beyond what I deserve, by all means. Certainly appreciate working for you guys. Certainly appreciate serving the citizens of Evans. This is definitely home. And I'm just for the record, I'm counting on more than 2 years. So we're only getting started. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, if there's no other comments, I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve the city manager employment agreement to continue Cody Sims' employment as the city's next city manager for an additional 2 years at a salary of $207,000, and to authorize the mayor to sign the agreement and make any non-substantive clerical changes.
Second.
Motion a second to approve. Oh, I'm going to second that.
I'm like the mayor second.
We all are.
Not normally do, but yes, on this aspect, yes, I'm going to. I have a motion a second to approve the city manager employment agreement to continue Cody Sims' employment as the city's next city manager for additional 2 years at a salary of $207,000 and authorize the mayor to sign the agreement, make any non-substantive clerical changes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. All right, reports. City manager, you're back up.
All right, well, I'll see if I can say this one without a big old frog in my throat. I certainly do appreciate it. And to the team, thank you. You guys are wonderful. I've got 6 updates for you, Mr. Mayor, Council. First off, welcome, Councilman Crabtree. I look forward to working with you. You'll get a lot of emails from me, generally between 12 a.m. and 4 a.m.
It's 3 or 4 pages long.
3 or 4 pages long, yes.
Wife likes to be when I work the best. So, again, welcome. Glad to have you. Glad to work with you. Look forward to it. Mr. Mayor and Council, you might have noticed that our city clerk, Julie Barnett, is not with us tonight. I'm excited to announce that she is in Snowmass Village tonight. She's at her CMCA conference, and she is actually being recognized this week for outstanding contribution to CMCA by a clerk. So, Julie is absolutely a rock star. She's one of she's one of a kind, you know. And when she's out, we feel it. And so, fortunately, we've got Amanda to fill in when Julie's not here. But you know, certainly proud of Julie's contributions to the city, but also to the city clerk profession. So very proud of her. In the back, we've got Dan Carpeel. Dan Carpeel is our new communications specialist. If you have not had the opportunity to say hello, he just joined us here about 3 weeks ago. So Dan, if you want to introduce yourself to the council, go for it.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for that, Cody. Yeah, my name is Dan Carpeel. Tomorrow will be my mark my 3-week anniversary here. Excuse me. But what you all just said about Cody is one of the reasons why these first 3 weeks have been so great. His leadership, his direction. I see it throughout the entire staff. It's really an exciting time, I think, to be here. I'm very glad to be aboard and excited for what I can do in my role for sure. So. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Another thing, we've got the State of the City event coming up this Friday, October 20th at 7:30 a.m. At Riverside Library. So we're looking forward to that event. I think we've got the slides and everything almost ready to go. So we'll turn the keys over to the mayor as soon as we've got those polished up, ready to go. So. Then our next council meeting, I just want to remind City Council, we've got 5 Tuesdays this month, so we will not be meeting 2 weeks from now. So our next meeting will be on November 7th. And then lastly, unless, barring any unforeseen circumstances, I am not planning to have a meeting on November 21st. That is the week of Thanksgiving. And so I'm trying to keep that week open as much as possible. So I know that folks like to travel during that time. So right now we're planning for November 7th and then December 5th. So if that changes for whatever reason, I'll certainly communicate that to the City Council. But right now, I don't see any need to meet on the 21st. And Mr. Mayor, that's all I have. I will turn it back over to you. But I do want to thank the council again. It's certainly a pleasure.
Great, thank you. City Attorney.
Welcome, Mr. Crabtree. Thank you for being here. I'm told by Cody Sims that there are cups available from our HR director for you. So that's an announcement. And congratulations, Cody. And of course, I've talked with each of you city council members about Cody, but his leadership's been phenomenal. And the staff all sees that and agrees too. So we're all on the same page there. And that's it. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, along with that, referencing the cups, we are in the process of rolling out our new core values. It's another big project that we've worked on throughout this year. So if you would please stick around after the meeting, and then we'll go back to the HR office and I'll get you guys your Yeti cups for the Evans Edge. So
You came at the right
Great.
time.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, next item, council discussion. Does anybody on council have anything that they want to discuss or bring up?
I do.
Go ahead.
So I want to say thank you. What do you say, ballers or ballards? Ballers? Ballers. They have been installed off of 29th, and I'm super excited. And this is one of the things that it's kind of been looming over me just because this specific property, this resident, unfortunately, their home has been struck by vehicles crashing into their backyard multiple times throughout the duration of, like, I think their house is maybe a year old. It was just built, and it's just cars, even before the house was there, car after car just kept on going in that backyard. And now that there's a resident, it's always been an issue of safety. And now there is like a safety wall in a sense. So I am excited. Thank you to council for, you know, allowing this to move forward, and thank you to Cody for listening and ensuring that our city and our residents are safe. And they look great. So if you ever head to Sam's Club, because, you know, we love shopping at Sam's Club, and you take, you know, if you go west, make a left, you know, take it, just make sure to look at that corner. I'm proud of it.
Closely.
Not too closely, yeah.
Not too closely, because you might let us know if it works.
Any other council discussion?
I just want to say that I think most of us were at the Quick Trip ribbon cutting.
Yes.
And I was there again filling up on Sunday, and it was still a zoo, which is remarkable and so great. And I'm very happy that my husband doesn't have to go get gas cans and fill up his tractors now. He can just putz down the road and go to QT and fill up. All of our vehicles have fuel in there. It's just a welcome member of the East Side, and we're very, very happy to have it open. And thanks a lot for the staff to make that possible, and Quick Trip for coming to our city. We're very happy. Thank you.
I just would like to add really quick. It has brought curb appeal to that area. It looks so good. It's exciting, because when you see such, you know, just how great it looks, it's like, yes, Evans, watch out, we're coming. So anyway, thank you to all who worked on that. I appreciate you.
Just one thing, looking forward to everybody attending the State of the City on Friday. Looking forward to that event. So see you bright and early Friday. It's going to be a great time. So
7:30 in the morning.
7:30 in the morning, Riverside Library.
Yes.
Some of us might not be bright.
You'll be bushy-tailed.
Yeah, I'll be bushy-tailed.
All right, if there's no other additional council discussion, I'm going to go ahead and put the regular council meeting on hold, and then we'll jump into our ERA meeting, and then after that, we'll go back into the council meeting and then go into an executive session. So with that being said, I will give the clerk a couple moments to switch over.
My chair sank.
What about this chair? I noticed you were sinking. In my head, I was like,